Hello, everybody. Look who I have. He's not shot dead in a pool of blood. Adam J. Harrington is here with me today. Thank you so much for doing this. And it's so great to see you. So great to see you.
Michael, so great to see you too. And hi, everybody. It's really nice to be here and sitting vertically.
It's upright.
Yeah.
And upright.
Well, upright and dry.
Upright and dry.
Yeah.
We were going to say that, I was flabbergasted in the end, the end of Jagger Cates, and you guys all acting in this rain. There was so much rain, and I thought they doused you guys with it. Were you not laughing through this, or were you guys pissed? How are we supposed to get our lines out? We're all drenched.
We knew it was coming.
Right.
And we knew what the finished product. Well, I can't speak for Mo. I can say that I knew it was coming, and I knew it was pretty cool. They're bringing in rain towers and the thunder and all that stuff. They were dropping some coin on this, so it was going to look good. What was interesting though is in the rehearsals is those are under rain towers, and there's one point where I get lined up across from Sonny to have the big confrontation, and I had walked out from under where one of the rain towers was hit. So suddenly I was standing in perfectly dry conditions.
I was dying. Kate Manzi was just drenched in her stuff. Yeah. You and Maurice were drenched. And I'm like, does that affect you, doing the lines, or does it even help? Or does it help?
Oh, it so adds to it. It adds to it. It adds to the mood. We had to be, the only note was be a little elevated. I can tell I'm a little elevated in my volume and all that stuff, just because these things are filmed so fast so they can get the product out to the fans every day on TV that they're just kind of and speak up, go. So you're just trying to gauge how loud the thunder might be or how loud the rain is going to be. But oh no, that was all kinds of fun.
Oh, it was the, you knew it was going to end right here for him. Mm-hmm. And how was your final day at GH? How were you? We you have so many people here saying we miss you already. How was your final day for you?
So that was filmed. I finished on a Friday. That was filmed on a Wednesday. Thursday I was partly laying on the ground, soaking wet with rain going up my nose. So Friday was just a wonderful and sad and bittersweet and everything, but it was a really intense day because it was the last day before everyone goes on hiatus for a month. So everybody was working really hard, and I had 70 pages of dialogue to do that day. And the cast and the crew and the producers were all amazing just to try to get me through it. There was days and days, and I think I shot between 11 and 15 episodes that day. So it was a purely chaotic day. And of course, by the afternoon, your brain's fried. You can't really remember anything. So you just go. And then we all had a really sweet hug fest at the end. And I jokingly said it was my time at soap opera school, because it was kind of a semester.
It was a semester.
Yeah.
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 And when you left there, were you sad?
I was going to miss everybody.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to miss everybody. Yeah. As far as the job of telling Jagger's story, I thought that was complete for whatever it's going to be. And then, you're in this business long enough that, when a job ends, a job ends. So, and I was on, I finished at 8:00 that night, and at 5:00 in the morning, I was at the airport on my way to Costa Rica. So I
for a holiday?
For a surf trip.
For a surf. I know you surf. That's right. That's right. So I guess if you're going to go, that's a good way to get, I finished, I go. We all loved you so much from the, when you came on the show, and we were like, wait, this is Jagger? Because it was such a, it's not Antonio Sabato. And you knew it was Antonio, you knew a little bit about it when you, that it was a recast. Yes. But it was such a different recast.
Yes. Yeah.
And how did you feel about that at the time?
I went back and watched. I think I've said this before. I went back and
Yeah.
watched I could on YouTube, and I was so. I mean, Antonio. Nobody could touch that. He was just so James Dean. He had that vibe, and him and Steve Burton and all of them. I just really liked it. And Frank Valentini was really kind. He's like, don't try to repeat anything. Don't try to copy anything. But I thought they were taking a really big. I thought General Hospital was taking a really big swing. I didn't look anything like him, but at the same time, I kind of felt honored that they felt that I might be able to handle taking this big swing. And I notice when new characters are being introduced, they have time to kind of percolate. You see them for a bit, they go away. You see them for a bit, they go away. I think I shot 120 pages my first 3 days. I mean, I hit the ground running.
I don't know what I got into. You had to have.
I didn't even have time to think about that. I just thought, okay, it's a legacy character. I get why he's so beloved. And Michael Sutton's got to be mentioned in this conversation because I think it was the two of them that created this absolutely wonderful brother relationship. Michael's story was so incredible. He was so good.
So good.
So I did feel a pressure to honor that in whatever way I could, and that there was a bit of a mantle. And then after that, you're like, you know what? They're putting faith in me. I just got to do my job. We'll see how people respond. And like I said, there was so much to do right away. I couldn't really think about it after that because I was just trying to remember my dialogue.
You bring up a really great point. They had brought back Michael Sutton, as a ghost when Maurice was, when Sonny was in a well. And he was envisioning Stone. But it would have been nice for Cates to have a moment with his brother. They could have brought, it would be great to have Sutton back as a ghost or something. Or you don't think?
I think now I'm just making observations on my own. I'm not a writer, not paid to be a writer. I'm not executive producer. I wouldn't want those jobs. They're just high stress and a whole other skill set. But I personally would have loved to have got the chance to work with Michael. I do understand, though, that visually it might become difficult for an audience to keep investing in a new Jagger when you're seeing Michael and I, unless it's really dim lighting.
Really dim.
I'm at his gravesite and he's a vague shadow and I'm wet with rain and my eyes look dark. I always kept that in mind, that for the sake of the audience to buy into this new Jagger, that challenging them or constantly maybe reminding them might not be. So I kind of accepted that. I think it would have been cool if Jagger had been able to visit Michael's Stone's grave. I often wondered that for myself in my own backstories. Has Jagger gone to the grave or not?
That would have been great too.
He visited the gravesite or not?
Yeah. So you come on the show.
Yes.
The audience is not dumb. We have a very smart audience. You've now learned
that
the audience is super smart. They'll find inconsistencies, problems with the storytelling, something that wasn't right. They know. Yeah. It's hard to corner the audience. So you're going through this and you're brought on in what we see as, FBI agent Cates, potential new leading man on the show for somebody. And then there's this turn where he is now so deep in his vendetta against Sonny that it's taken over him.
Yes.
Now, did they tell you there was going to be a character shift at some point, or will you just get a script one day and you're like, what is happening here?
From what I understand, the way soaps work, again, just because it's at the pace, you just get the pages and you read them and you go from there. And I don't think, Michael, you and I we have to remember that there was 3 executive writer changes.
There were 3 co-head writer changes during the time you were there.
I think in the 6 months I was there. I only shot 4.5 months because of the breaks they would take. They take a break at the end of every month, and I think there was a 2-week break in there. So over 4.5 months, I think the first writers were gone within a month, and then the second writers, I don't know how long they lasted, and then the third come in. And as an actor, you kind of, anybody that's like, it's like you've been brought in as a subcontractor, and a family doesn't like their pool. And if you go in and just kind of throw paint on the old pool, they're going to wonder what you've done and why they hired you. So every time a new writer team comes in, they're going to want to put their own stamp on it to show their bosses why they got hired. So I knew after the first writer change, everything might be up in the air as far as why I'm there, because Jagger was so newly introduced. So I didn't know ahead of time that there were changes in his motivation, but I understood why they were, once I clued into them, why they were happening, just because it was coinciding with the writers changing.
And then by the time third writers change,
yes.
Did you see the writing on the wall at that point, like, I'm going to be killed off?
I had a friend point out to me and said, listen, just so you know, 2 things are going to happen. Either half the town goes to prison, half the cast goes to prison, or you're going bye-bye. I think when when you bring in these kind of archetype characters that are society, we know them, we think of them as being so smart and so intelligent. So you bring in an FBI agent, 2 things are going to happen. People are going to go to jail, he disappears.
Right.
And I had known, they had let me know in May, I think, that I was going to be done. So that final chunk, I knew it was going to wrap up. It was just a matter of how. And then when the time came, they let me know how. So that final arc was all backtracking from the confrontation with Sonny and how to plot that.
Because he was going on a bender here with it, basically like threatening Christine every 2 minutes. I mean, he had really lost. So did you, as an actor, was that great for you to play? Or were you like trying to make sense of this? Or like completely annoyed that this is where the story was going?
Well, again, I'm coming in as a journeyman actor. My job is to take what's on the page and make it, I can't waste a lot of time thinking beyond that. I knew that Jagger shows up unarmed, meeting Sonny. Now, I will say this, and we talked about this before we started this live broadcast. For everybody watching, I know everything I'm saying is only based on what my experience was up until my last day on set. I have I have to allow for the fact that writers on this stuff may change things, may switch things up, may go back and adapt history to keep these stories wonderfully compelling. But for me, I knew he didn't have his gun. So it kind of presented, and I am answering your question, it kind of presented 2 things. How do we get the audience to buy into the conceit that an FBI agent would show up without a gun? And the other one for me personally was, what happens to my son, Stone? So what I thought was, Jack obviously only owns 2 suits.
Only.
He wears 2 beautiful suits, by the way.
2
gorgeous
great-looking suit overcoat.
Beautiful. So I thought, okay, in his wallet, he would keep a card, because he's an FBI agent, with his son's name on it, where he's staying, and a contact person. And that I thought, if John only owns 2 suits, which he doesn't really treat with a lot of respect, maybe he's been socking money away all these years so that his son will get taken care of. And I thought, okay, that's for me, Adam, so that sadness is out of my head. And then I thought, maybe what I can add, and it was very much on the page that Jagger was going to be obsessed and going after people and all that stuff. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could tell a story And kind of Maurice's show State of Mind inspired this, about just dealing with mental stuff. I'm like, what wouldn't it be cool if this could be a story about someone whose pain and guilt and trauma from the past and vengeance gets him so twisted that, in a very lighthearted way, it's like one of those people that plan a vacation for a year. They're going to Italy, they're going to Italy, they're going to Italy, and then they get to the airport and they don't have their passport. And you would think that's the one thing you wouldn't forget, but they just get so discombobulated. So all the interactions with Christina, with everybody where I was evil, was I looked at it from that point of view, not why is this written this way? It's just, this is the way it's written. What can we do with this? And that all of it was him slowly unraveling. So hopefully by the time he gets across from Sonny, the idea that he would show up without his gun is plausible, because he's just so. And even the one thing I loved about that, Michael, and then shut me up because I'm monologuing, was when Jagger arrives, he's by himself, like he's knocking on the door. It's kind of casual. And I thought, wouldn't it be so cool if on some level Jagger actually believes he has a connection with Sonny? And when it's time to be arrested, Sonny would come. They're in a very warped way. They're connected through stone. They're like family in a weird way. And the idea that Sonny would ever pull a gun on him just doesn't ever compute. I thought Mo had that beautiful line of, no, this is who I am, Jagger. Now you're going to see who I am.
I am.
That just didn't dawn on him at all in all of this, Anyway.
How was working with Maurice during the time you were there? And what can you say about Maurice? Because he's his own, he's the guy on the show.
The guy.
Yeah.
I think given the name, Maurice and I had very few conversations. And when we did, they were really lovely. But we would talk a little bit, but we would kind of just we would talk when we got to set, we'd figure things out. But I don't know, man, it just kind of clicked right away. I trusted it. He trusted it. There was a lot of hugs after scenes were shot. There was a big hug after we shot the final. I have an enormous amount of respect for him, and he is such a delight to work with.
Well, we have some people here that want to. So here, Barb is saying, hi, Adam from Philadelphia. Thank you for your great job of making us dislike your character. Superb acting.
Thank you, Barb.
And Haley says, you're a good actor. You made Jagger really creepy. Yeah.
Thank you, Haley. That was my job. It was very clear on the page that every interaction Jagger had was going to be that everyone was going to universally hate him.
And Julie, it's got to be so hard to jump into a legacy character and make it your own, but also stay true to the history. I just wish he could have been redeemed and not killed off. You did a great job.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you.
So there's a lot of this here. They really feel you did a wonderful job and wish you weren't killed off. And I think that's what all of us feel. You came on the show, and I remember your first scene that we saw was with Laura Wright outside of Bobby's. And initially I thought, is this going to be a love interest for Carly? Did you think that at one point as well?
I didn't know. I just kind of went with it. I thought it felt like it might be steering that way, but I was also an FBI agent. So, and I know the world of soap is different, but I thought, well, this is going to be interesting because I'm kind of gunning, and then Steve Burton's character came back and that whole thing, and I'm like, I don't know what was going to happen with that or where that was supposed to go. I just really loved the stuff we got to do together. There was a whole sequence in the Metro Court Hotel where I'd been beaten up, and she's taking care of me, and I just loved that whole thing. It had such these two very smart people, very guarded people with each other, having this little game of who's going to drop the wall a little bit, and then kind of bonding over the fact that she, you know, Carly was telling me all these wonderful things about her that had nothing to do with a man. How she was a nurse, how she loved running a hotel and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And Bobby's, and I thought that was so beautiful, and him getting to know her in that way, and then them playing the quid pro quo about what she knew about the case and finding those little bonds that way. I thought it was such a nice little um, story of these two characters apart from their normal world. And
Now, yeah, what I was going to say is now with you not being on the show and you know that his murder is a big part of the show now, do you see
yeah,
yourself ever checking in to see the story, or would you not look at what's going on the General Hospital?
I think I'll take a little bit of a break just so that I can get, you know,
Your
things.
bearings. Hmm.
Yeah, just get my bearings. And it was a tense haul. But yeah, of course I'll check in, see what everybody's up to. I just love watching everybody's work, especially now that I know them.
Right. Now, you had several scenes with Mara West. You know,
Yes, I
Mara is
did.
like Mara's the queen, right? She's like we call her the queen many times, Queen
Yeah.
Mara. What was it like meeting her? How was working with her? Do you have a favorite moment of the whole dance that the two of them did in the story?
Oh, uh, I think that just explains it. It was so much fun. We clicked. Uh, so much trust there. I, anytime, anywhere, anytime, anywhere. I want to give you words, but I really don't have any. I just absolutely loved working with her. Favorite moments?
Was it when you were putting the screws to her and make like forcing the what the confession was going to be? Is it when you guys were
No,
out? Was it the bedroom, like coming out and like what was
it
the thing?
was the moments. I think the moments I liked with her were the most tender. I think of any of the characters. I always saw Jagger, and it got supported in the script. Was incredibly lonely, an incredibly lonely character, especially in Port Charles, where there's all that history and bad memories and all that stuff. I felt that of any of the female characters on the show, Maura would probably, or Ava was probably the one that could have been homeless at some point, because Jagger was homeless. That I saw her as a survivor, and I thought, I thought she could try to kill him, and Jagger would still forgive her and understand. So
That
there was, but
so
some
much sense.
favorite moments. There was a moment I touched her hair in the scene that
Right,
wasn't
which
scripted.
you called out on. Right, I remember
Yeah,
on we
yeah.
talked about that on X. You touched there, and you were
There
like,
was there was a moment I left a scene and somebody had thought I had touched her bum as I left, and I hadn't. She was holding her hands behind her back, and we grabbed hands for a second as I was walking by. Just those little things. And then the very last scene I had with her, I didn't know until the night before we shot that scene that I was trying to have her killed. Because I never got the pages that had that in it. So I, I was like, I texted my contact with the writers and I'm like, this feels a little odd. Is there something about the scene I should know? And they're like, yeah, you're trying to kill her. So that whole scene, I was thrown. I think it was also the very last scene I shot. And the one thing was, again, if it's not scripted, you can't do it. There's timing involved and stuff. But all I wanted to do when I was walking out of that hotel room with the luggage, and you can see me, I'm ever so slightly awkward at the door because all I wanted to do was go back to her and kiss her one last time.
it
And
would have been.
even where John was at, there was a part of him that knew what he was doing was wrong, but he couldn't stop himself. When I first encountered Christina, I haven't watched it, so I don't know if it played or not, but I didn't look at her. When she's in the wheelchair in the hospital, I never looked her in the eye until about 3/4 of the way through that scene, because I just couldn't. I knew what I was doing. Or Jagger knew what he was doing, but he was still going to do it.
So interesting. So Just Jen is saying, I agree. He would not have gone in alone and unprotected, but he was so confident that he would get Sonny that his overconfidence killed him. Do you think he was overconfident?
I think so in a way, but it was because he wasn't. I don't think on any regular day when Jagger had his wits about him and wasn't so triggered, he would have done that. He would have never allowed himself to be so overconfident.
Overconfident.
I think he's just so, the vengeance was, I just think it's such a great tale of, you know, we should all deal with our crap. If we go into victim mode and blaming everybody and vengeance and therapy and past traumas and stuff, it will always get you.
And well, Kathy agrees here. She said, the best was when you touched a whistleblower's hair. So touching.
Thanks, Kathy.
So she agreed. Now, this is interesting. Charlotte said, I felt that Jagger felt he needed to save Sonny from Jason from Sonny's world because he could not save his brother, and he remembered Jason, the good guy. Yeah. I think that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So what was it like with Steve Burton? Because you had him over a barrel through the entire run. You were like, he was doing everything because you had him RICO right violations on him, and right.
Well, I love the tete-a-tete between Jagger and
Jason.
Oh, thank you. Between the Jays are getting me.
Yeah.
Plus, I think we were talking before. I think I do have a cold.
Yes.
I love the back and forth between the characters, but working with Steve, he's just such a pro and has such amazing energy. So I always looked forward to the scenes we had together. I think my first real chunk with him was almost like a Bourne Identity style interview sequence. That was a ton of fun to play.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So when you got there to GH, did anyone show you like, here's where everything is? Did someone take you around in the studio?
Yeah.
We just that.
Yep. I got a tour of the studio and all that stuff. And the bowels and then the upstairs.
Right.
And then the gun goes off and runners on their marks get set, and then you go. And it's like a speeding bullet. But everybody was, all the cast, I never felt from anybody that I wasn't Jagger. Everybody greeted me, and everybody kind of said yes to it. Everybody gave me, Laura Wright and Finola and Maurice, and people were giving me the little tips on how to manage it. And they were, like I said, I will miss them, and the crew is fantastic. But they were lovely, lovely, and welcomed me with open arms.
Finola Hughes.
Oh,
Finola Hughes, like one of the greats. And you're and I'm like, I actually think, Adam, you got a little bit of the good deal of it is you got to work with like the heavyweights, bar none, on the show.
Yeah.
You're gonna come to General Hospital. You want to be here. So what was it like with Finola in your scenes?
I hated working with her because she never let me get away with anything. Everything Jagger was saying was right, and she wouldn't budge. I could try. I was trying pleading with her, being argumentative, and she never budged. But that's why she was so much fun to work with, and just a wonderful person to, we had a lot of endless conversations about stuff, but man, did she make me angry in those scenes, because she just wouldn't.
This is an interesting question. Billy asks, would you ever consider going back as a new character? Nothing related to Jagger Cates, though. If Michael Easton can do it, you can do it, right? Lots of laughs.
Well, I will answer this in a very pragmatic way. I am Canadian. I come from a country with universal health care. So anytime somebody offers me a job in the States, I say yes, so I can pay for my health care. And I had a wonderful experience on the show. So of course I would be open to going back and doing something.
Right. I mean, they could have you with no beard like you are now, clean shaven. Right.
We joked that Jagger had a twin brother that he never knew about named Sven, who's from Sweden. And he would only and it would make sense with my hair coloring and stuff. And he would only speak in broken English. And all the characters, like, he would encounter Ava and be like, "You're vaguely familiar to me. I feel like I might know you. I believe your name is Sonny."
We want to see this. Bring this on.
My brother's son was named Rock or something like that. It was Granite. No, it was like a pebble name. Yeah. And just be that guy. So we would joke about that in the hair and makeup trailer.
Brilliant. Tia asks, do you wish more was explored with Jagger's autistic son? Because we knew he had one, but he really wasn't part of the story.
I don't know. I knew that would be again, that's something I didn't really think about too much, because that's just something that the writers would have, that would be in writers' territory on how to explore that and what to do. And, you know, logistically, he's so far away and all that stuff. So, you know, sometimes when you work on stuff, I just deal with what's given and what's there, and put my energy into that. But for me, playing Jagger, he loved his son very much, and I loved that they did reference it.
So
that's my political answer.
Political answer.
Yeah,
it would have been great to see it, but again, he's like, now he's gone so far on this revenge tour. It's kind of like that was the story, that he was just so consumed. So
yeah, and the sad part is, you know, I don't know how much contact he did have with his son during that sad last part, where he was just becoming, like, again, he's becoming so obsessed with something that he shows up to arrest a mob boss without a bulletproof vest on and no gun. Like, he's not in his right mind.
And the scenes with Kate Mansi, with Christina, how were those like, when, you know, you're challenging her, like, I'm going to put you behind bars? If, you know, you were literally at her, this poor girl who lost a baby, who's in a wheelchair, and you're like throwing her. What was,
like I said, I didn't look at her.
Right.
That whole sequence in the hospital, I never looked at her until there was a line where she makes a comment about Ava. And I thought that could be the line where Jagger suddenly, you know, he's the wolf and now there's the threat. When I came into the house when Jagger comes to the house to try to take them downtown instead of going to the funeral, same thing. I never looked at her. I don't think I looked at anybody. I think I was looking at the ground almost the entire thing. That on some level, he knew what he was asking was wrong, but he just couldn't stop himself. Because
when you look back on this, I know it's not been that long, but do you have a scene that you as an actor, like, I really thought that was, I was happy with myself in that scene? Like, you really, you know, like a lot of actors hate watching them. Do you watch your work or you don't watch your work?
I will. Yes, I will. And some stuff I watched, some stuff I haven't. Some stuff of this I watched, some stuff I didn't.
So is there anything, like some moments that if you were to put together an Emmy reel and we put you through, like, what would be on that reel? Like, what do you think you were proud of?
Well, and I would have to go back and watch a lot of it. I know I saw the scene in the boxing gym with Sonny. And that I shot on my third day at work in the afternoon. And I saw that and I was really proud of that, because that scene works because all four of us had the timing down. That scene doesn't work unless Dom and Michael, Chad, their timing was perfect, or that scene wouldn't have worked. Because for me to bark at Sonny was because Chad had me held back, and I really liked that scene. I'm also not in that suit. I was happy about that.
We're not in a suit.
I was not in the suit, and there was something about the body language in there that I was like, that's Jagger, and as well trying to call back to the work that was done before I got there. That kind of, you know,
somehow.
Yeah, the laziness and the, you know, the look and everything, and being respectful for what was done before I got there. I really like that scene. Maybe some of the stuff with Maura, just because I really enjoyed that so much.
So good.
I think for me, the shooting scene is all about Sonny.
It is.
I think that's
a Maurice. That's a Maurice.
Beautiful. That's all him, man. Yeah.
That's Maurice.
But
okay, so we've got Okay, so we have your Emmy reel. It's got to be like we put it together here, people. We put it together. You've
I don't
had,
know about that.
for those that don't know, and maybe you've had you've appeared on some wonderful television shows and
Yeah, I've been
shows.
lucky.
You've been,
Yeah.
I mean, very fortunate because a lot of actors don't get to work. You've been very lucky. Do you have a favorite primetime episode show that you had been on as well? Because you've done a lot of stuff. So I don't know what the fans knew, but it's like, oh, I knew Adam here. Like, I was like, oh, they like leveled up here. They brought in like you know?
Yeah. I'll always be proud of being on Parks and Rec because my family loved that show.
So fun.
So that was a lot of fun to be on. There's strangely enough, a video game. One of the coolest characters I ever got to play was in a video game called God of War.
And God of War. You nominated or you won? There was an award.
I got nominated for the BAFTA. Yeah.
A BAFTA. Did you have to talk
I got to
accent or what happened here?
What's that?
What was the voice? What was the voice?
Sindri kind of sounded like this, and he talked in this voice. And then over the course of the game, something really bad happens, and his voice drops to this.
Oh.
So he's a
BAFTA.
What's that?
A BAFTA.
By the way, that was an incredible experience. We got flown over in London, red carpet, BAFTAs. It was just incredible. The woman that won in the category I did, this young woman, is just a dynamo, and her parents were there, and they were all crying. It was just such a cool thing to be a part of.
Criminal Minds. Somebody's bringing up you criminals. Now, what did you play on Criminal Minds for those that?
Was this number 6? I think I was a very disturbed guy who would pose as a victim, but I was actually the killer. And I would try to convince the woman that we would kill each other before the killer could kill us. And if I could kill, I would kill her and then kill myself. That I would make it painless for her, but I was actually the killer. It was dark, dude. It was those.
You guys follow this? Like, I'm confused. That's a lot for an actor to. Yeah.
Those were some dark thoughts. Those were some dark places to go to. Yeah, it was a lot of people have commented about. In fact, I had a hair and makeup woman who had watched that show without ever knowing me and decided that there's no way I could be acting. It had to be real. Because it was too disturbing. And then I worked with her, and she couldn't. I had to go with a different hair and makeup person because when I was trying to be nice to her, she just felt like I was trying to lure her into the back of a van.
Okay. Supernatural. I love Bartholomew, and it's how I knew who Adam was before he came on GH. Yes.
Hey, Jen.
From Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
Speak to us about Bartholomew and Supernatural because I remember you from there too.
Oh my God! The brief ride all of Bartholomew. The most fun thing about that was knowing that I was going to die and have all this light and stuff. Like just to be in the supernatural world and get to work with those guys was an absolute blast. That's what I remember about that. That and I look like a bizarre version of JFK. I think that they had my hair all slicked back and everything.
And were you on Major Crimes?
I was on Major Crimes with Billy Miller.
Tell us about that. How was working with our dear Billy?
Do you know there's people that come along in your life and they just make an impact right away? Billy was one of those people. He was such a sweet, for such a guy that had such a kind of a blue collar,
bluster kind of thing.
Bluster about him. He was such a sweet guy. And I remember there was a lot of laughing between takes. And then watching his work, I was like, wow, this guy's good. This guy is really good. And then we would see each other around town every once in a while and have a conversation. But I'd always thought, man, I'd love to go toe to toe with him again in some work. And then,
Yeah.
That
Well,
I didn't.
you know that he played Jason on General Hospital, then Drew. He was Jason Drew when Steve left. Billy took over.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, wow. I knew he was on General Hospital, but those are one of those, there's certain people come along, and when I found out he had passed, I didn't know him very well. I knew him as a kind of an acquaintance, and we worked together. But that one, that upset me.
It's very upsetting.
Yeah.
It's very upsetting. We miss him very much. Lisa remembers you from Station 19.
I got to throw mashed potatoes at a wall.
How was that? How was that show to be on?
That shows a well-oiled machine, and Paris Barkley directed the episodes I'm in. Who's just, if you look him up, he's just a god in the industry. Everybody was fantastic. Again, kind of a dark character, but really cool to explore. But I remember there was a scene where I had to be angry at a dinner table, and I had to throw potatoes at the wall and have the whole plate smash and everything. And I was all set for it. I'm left-handed. I practiced all that. We get there, and they're like, "You're going to have to throw it right-handed."
Okay, I'm left-handed too, so
right.
I can.
So that if you throw right-handed,
yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's bad.
It's very unappealing.
It's not good.
That probably loosened me up, because all I was focusing on was trying to make that look like this guy's throwing a baseball with his right hand, instead of it looking like you're like, oh, okay.
Billy's asking, I have to say, you have awesome hair, brother. Why did you cut it? Yeah, I'm jealous. Lots of laughs.
I cut it because I'm prepping to work on something that I can't talk about.
Okay.
But as soon as it's over, it's growing.
Okay, so you would like it back?
I kind of, I always have. I mean, it's short a lot of times just because work,
So when you look at soap opera experience and your primetime experience, and now that you went through it,
yes,
where does that leave you? Does that leave you thinking, I'll do another soap of a different show called, or were you like, I don't want to do this again?
It just leaves me looking forward to getting a job again. I think they're very, very different. They're just very different. The demands are different. I think what I've discovered working on a soap opera, and I'm really happy I discovered this, is all the things it does really well. As opposed to a lot of times soap opera is people highlight what it can't do because it doesn't have 70 takes. And it's got 7 days to shoot an episode, or it's got a month to shoot an episode, or the writers can work on a script for 30 days, or, they've got all the money in the world for posts and all that stuff. And to be in a world where you're watching people put something together that shoots every day, and you've got one take, and your blocking rehearsals basically being told where you're doing, and then the directors are under the gun, and then the writers are under the gun, and then the executive producer is under the gun. It was just phenomenal to watch. Are you asking me, do I prefer one over the other? They're just all different.
Different. Right.
They're all different.
They're all different.
Sometimes you can get on a primetime procedural and it just feels so cookie cutter that there's not a lot of creativity. And in, soap opera, the other thing I'm sure the viewers understand is that a lot of us are running around between filming, running lines, going over stuff, kind of finding it, working on it, so that when we go up and shoot it, they can get it in the 1 or 2 takes they need. So it can be enormously collaborative in that sense.
Did you have a moment like that you guys just busted up so much you couldn't keep it together on set during a scene? Are you one of those people that can't hold it together, or are you?
Well,
I would laugh.
You just don't have time on a soap.
Right, you just can't.
Mm-hmm. You just can't. You just can't. And remember, you're there with an entire crew that's working really hard, and I just think there's a respect there of, every second counts. There's laughter and stuff on. There's laughter and stuff on set, but me personally, I would never. Just the awareness that we got to get it would probably prevent me from feeling like I had the time to just be like, this is funny. I can't keep it together. Yeah. Let's do another take.
Do you, Are we going to see you back? Well, I guess you can't say this, but are you back like haunting Sonny or something?
I have no idea. That's
Okay.
for bigger brains than me.
Bigger brains. Bigger brains.
As far as I know, when I finished, I had been shot. I am no longer on contract, which even on contract is a bit of a vague term, because when I came in, it was it was a series of work periods, and they let me know well ahead of time that they're like, we're not going to extend you past this work period. So the idea that it was supposed to be this big length of time, it just didn't work. It wasn't ever supposed to work that way for me.
Now, Charles Major was originally John, and you were John, and then he was Jack, and then you were John.
That was in my contract.
What?
That was in my contract. I wanted John.
So what happened with that? Did somebody?
No, I'm kidding. But I had met Charles. We got along really well, and then I decided to stick it to him and steal his name.
Because they're like, who's Jack? Who's John? Who's
John?
Well,
I don't know. And again, I'm spitballing. There might have been a possibility that because Charles, I think, started in October.
Yes.
I wasn't there until January. That when they hired Charles, they might not have realized that they were going to bring Jagger in at that point. I know that I had auditioned, then there was a lot of conversations and them wanting to find me something. So the mix-up could have just simply been John Brennan or Jack Brennan, and then I don't know how it was John Brennan, and then they realized they were going to bring Jagger back because they were trying to find something for me, and that's where the name got, that's where I stole his name.
I love that. And I also, did you like audition, like screen test? Like what did you have to do for this role to get Jagger? Or did you how did it work?
I went in on another role.
Okay.
I read with Laura. It was not on camera. It was in front of all the muckety mucks, all the bigwigs. And then I went away. That role was cast to somebody else. And then it was just a series of it was just a conversation after that of we're going to find him something, and then it was an offer.
It does work like that so many times in soap opera. There were so many people I talked to over the years I've done this, which is 40. I talked to them and they're like, I went in for this, I didn't get this, but they liked me, so they found a role for me or they wrote something for me. Yeah. It never goes the way, it's always like, they don't get this role, but they like them so much they create something for them.
I think it happened. I think Gio. I think that happened that way for Gio too. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what is this? Oh, they're saying that Jagger's not truly dead. Well, then I don't know what I saw.
You know what? Let him stay. Let him stay alive. Let him stay alive for you guys that want him to stay alive. Maybe he's off. Yeah, it was you know what it was? It was they put
a doppelganger.
He was wearing a bulletproof vest that had squibs over top of it so that Sonny would think he was dead. He took a pill that would give him no heartbeat. They took him away in the body bag, but then the special cops took the body bag from there, and he's hopefully recovering on a beach somewhere. Maybe he's like James Bond. He's drinking drinks and doing the scorpion shot thing in something like that. Or he's gone to see his twin brother Sven in Sweden, and he's just.
I'm thinking, or Sven got shot.
You'll need to sit down and eat the meatballs.
Or Sven got in the suit, and it really wasn't.
You know what? It was a John Wick suit that repelled the bullets, and he had a little thing in his hand. He knew Sonny was going to try to kill him, and he self-squibbed himself, held his breath.
We have a way to bring this character back. Yeah. They like, see, I like the way Adam's thinking. Adam, thank you so much for doing this with me. I really have to say you did such wonderful work. I really enjoyed it so much. I couldn't wait to see you on the show and what was happening with it. And you impressed so many people. And it's great to see you in this world, even though we've seen you on primetime and episodics and movies. It was just really, it was just a great run to see you. And it was something to sink your teeth into. You know, he was.
Oh my God.
That's a great role, right? It was a great role.
Yeah. And just to follow up on that, you know, like I found out I wasn't going to be continuing, but you know, almost within the same breath, I got this massive arc with a beautiful love story. And I mean, if you're going to go out, I mean, that is a memorable way to go out. I'm so grateful to everybody on that show for the swing they took with me and the opportunities they gave, and I got to sink my teeth in, and it's just been a marvel. Like I said, it's been a marvelous time at soap opera school, and getting to meet the fans and getting to talk to you, and thank you for your kind words. That is high praise coming from you, sir.
You are so welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us tonight. We look forward to what's next, Adam, and subscribe to the Michael channel for more live stream interviews in the future. Have a great night, Adam. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Michael. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.